Hello everyone and welcome back again to Junkyard Summit. Today, meron na naman tayong panibagong build vlog and this time around it is an all AMD setup featuring their latest B550 chipset. So current price nito is around 45 to 46,000 Philippine peso. And before tayo pumunta sa parts breakdown, let's first roll the intro. So first up is our CPU. So what I got here is the Ryzen 5 3500X. This is a 6-core, 6-thread CPU that is based off the Zen 2 architecture. And I could have gone with the 3600, pero availability of that right now is a little bit limited. And ang maraming stocks is the 3500X. This might be not the best value out there, pero performance-wise, it is still very good and it's just a little bit slower sa ating 3600. So for our motherboard, what I got here is the Asus TUF Gaming B550M Plus Wi-Fi. Again, this is running the new B550 chipset from AMD. And at the same time, nakuha ko to ng mga 9,800 Philippine peso, which is a good deal as may free siyang 256 na M.2 SATA SSD. Other reasons for considering this motherboard is that this motherboard is feature-rich and at the same time, micro ATX yung form factor niya, which fits perfectly with our case na gagamitin for today. And if ever pala interested kayo sa features ito and as well as my first impressions, I'll post the link above here so you can just click it and check it out later. Para naman sa ating CPU cooler, what I got here is the Deepcool Gammaxx GTE V1 and meron na rin tong version 2 and I'm just not too sure about the difference between the two and hindi naman mandatory na kumuha ng aftermarket CPU cooler as yung Ryzen 5 natin may kasama na siyang RAID Stealth. But if ever we want to utilize the PBO feature of these Ryzen processors, then getting an aftermarket cooler would be really good for it. For our memory naman, what I got here is the Avexire Core 2 RGB RAM. So this is a 16GB kit, so 2 8GB sticks. And this is rated at 3200 MHz on CL16 timing. And if I'm correct, this also runs at Samsung die chips. So this should be good with our Ryzen CPU. For our GPU, what I got here is the Powercolor Radeon RX 5500 XT Red Dragon. So the 5500 XT is part of AMD's latest Navi architecture. And the model I got here is 8GB of GDDR6. And it should be perfect for our 1080p gaming. If ever pala gusto nyo makatipid ng konti, you could always go for the 4GB model which is around 2,000 to 3,000 Philippine peso cheaper. And yung Red Dragon na model rin pala is one of my favorites as hindi siya ganun ka-gamery yung itsura and it has a minimalistic black shroud look. For our storage pala, what I got here is the Team Group MS30 SSD. This is not an NVMe drive and it's just a SATA 36GB, but it should be more than enough for our faster OS booting and at the same time sa mga main applications na ginagamit natin for our work. 256GB lang pala yung storage ito since nakuha ko nga lang itong libre sa aking B550 motherboard. Pero recommended ko naman is 256 ang minimum. Pero ang pinaka-optimal for me is to get a 512 kung kaya ng budget natin. And since 256GB lang yung SSD natin, I will add another 1TB hard drive for our other files. For our PSU, what I got here is the Corsair CV550. You might ask bakit CV450 lang kinuha ko and not opt for the 551. Ang pinaka-answer lang dyan is walang stock yung CV550 ngayon. And if you will ask again if kung kasya na ba yung CV450 for our build today, the answer is yes. More than enough pa rin naman ang CV450. But if ever makakuha kayo ng CV550 or any other PSU na 500 watts above, mas better yon as mas magiging future ready ka if ever mag-upgrade ka into a more stronger CPU or GPU. For the last two parts, we have the case and the case fans. Para sa case natin, what I got here is the Rakk Haliya-M which I already reviewed. And if you're interested in checking more about this case, I'll post the link above here again. So just check it out after this video. This is a micro ATX case which is perfect for our motherboard. And for our case fans naman, what I got here is the Dark Flash CF8 Pro 3-in-1. So this is a 3-pack addressable RGB fan which can be controlled with our motherboard again. So the total cost of this setup is around 46,400 Philippine peso And I'll post the price breakdown right now so you can compare my prices to yours if ever bibili na kayo ng ganitong setup. And if ever pala magtatanong kayo kung saan ko nabili to, I got most of these from Lazada except for the GPU. Pero within Lazada, sa iba-ibang shops ko rin nabili. Tulad ng motherboard, I think I got it from Tech 2027, and the RAM, I got it from ECPC. For the others, hindi ko na lang maalala. But always go check the seller's rating first bago kayo bibili ng items from Lazada. And since na-discuss ko na yung mga parts na gagamitin natin for today, let's build this thing. So behind me is the finished build, and actually nung isang araw ko pa siya natapos. I just did a couple of gaming benchmarks, mga 14 games in total. But before I show you the results, I just want to show you an actual game running on our 7nm All AMD build. So yung game na itetest natin ngayon is Call of Duty Warzone. This is a fairly new game from Activision, I think. And ito nga, papakita ko sa inyo yung actual performance nitong 46,000 build natin. So while waiting, papakita ko na rin sa inyo yung power consumption nito as well as yung temperature. Off the wall, at full load, it's just pulling around 240 watts using my digital power reader, and while gaming, mga 220 watts lang. So what does that mean? Yung CV450 natin is more than enough to actually run the system and Like I said a while ago, if you want to upgrade to a more powerful GPU or CPU down the line, getting a CV50 should be better. But ayun nga, pag nakita natin, at 220 or 240 watts, our usage is just around 50 to 55%, which is may headroom pa tayo even if we are gonna stick with a CV450. So going in game now, as you can see, we're getting 100 FPS, 80. So we're getting around 80 to 100 FPS. This is at max settings. As you can see, very capable tong system natin to play newer titles at very smooth frame rate. And kung mapapansin nyo pala yung GPU VRAM utilization, makikita nyo nasa 7 GB tayo. Tulad nga sinabi ko nung kanina, if nasa medyo budgeted tayo, 4 GB is more than enough. Pero tulad na nakikita natin sa screen ko ngayon, even at 1080p na na-utilize natin yung 8 GB of VRAM. As kunwari, itong game na nga to is actually using 7 GB. And actually, may ibang games din na umaabot ng more than 4 GB ang VRAM usage nila. So, what does that translate to? Well, for one, having more VRAM means we're getting smoother frame rates. Ibig sabihin nun, 1% lows natin and 0.1% lows are going to be closer to our average FPS. So, expect mo yung mga frame drops, spikes, mas less as compared when using a 4 GB. But I'm not saying na pangit yung 4 GB, maganda pa rin yung 4 GB. It's just if you have the enough money to spend a little bit more, getting an 8 GB would be beneficial in your gaming experience. As for our GPU temperature pala, makita mo nasa 61 lang tayo. Ang CPU temperature natin when gaming is around 70 and that is on PBO settings. And if titingnan nyo yung full load na section a while ago do sa temperature chart, ang CPU natin is boosting an all-core boost of around 3.95 GHz. So that is well beyond our rated stock clocks. Though hindi ko mapaparinig sa inyo yung actual sound ng system natin, but if you're not gonna use the stock fan of the Haliya-M, our system will run whisper quiet. As like I said in my Rakk Haliya-M, yung stock fan nito is really noisy. And since it's running on Molex, hindi natin nakokontrol yung fan speed niya. But for our GPU case fans na dark flash and our Gammaxx GTE, all of them are really quiet while maintaining decent temps. So before I end the video, ipapakita ko na rin pala results for those other games. And as we can see, in most AAA titles, even the new ones, we are very close to 60 FPS and that is on max settings. And as for those other mainstream titles, we can see na kaya natin achieve ang over 90 FPS, even close to 144 FPS, especially in our Rainbow Six game. So, getting a 144Hz monitor is the next big thing na bibilhin natin if ever we will push with this kind of setup. And I think that is all for today's video. If you like my video, go hit that thumbs up and as well do subscribe to my channel for more build vlogs and benchmarks like this. Once again, this is Brain of Junkyard Summit. Thank you and see you in the next one.